Hi, how are you guys doing? I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, thank you for asking. Yes, okay. All right. So this is something that's existed in One Piece for a while that a lot of people apparently have picked up on like years ago. But every once in a while, like, look, I really love One Piece and I've read it a lot, but there's a lot to take in, all right? So some things just fly right over my head until somebody will bring it up and be like, hey, Tekking, did you know this? Like, this is what Oda is going with here? Like, this is the message? And I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I knew that. I knew that 100%. I didn't know that. Let me check. Oh, my God, that's a thing. Okay, so just for the sake of everybody else that has not picked up on this, allow me to blow your minds. Okay, so you know how in the Marines, certain high-ranking members, typically the admirals, but not always just the admirals, a few vice admirals, as well as a few others that have, like, interesting positions, have the code name system. So it's Aokiji, Blue Pheasant, Akainu or Akainu, Red Dog, Kizaru, or I always say Kizaru with the Z, but Kizaru, Yellow Monkey. Okay, everybody already knew that, right? But no, I'm going to read this off here, and this is going to make sense to you in a second, all right? If you know anything, if you've watched Fruits Basket, you'll get it immediately, all right? A monkey, a dog, a pheasant, or maybe a rooster. Then we have a tiger and a bull, or a cow. Then we also have a horse and a rabbit and a pig. Yeah, you picking up on it? Yeah, they're named after the Chinese Zodiac. My God! Oda! It's like playing a video game for like the 17th time in a row, and then you find out a hidden secret, an Easter egg, a glitch, or like, hey, go over here and hold down. And what? I didn't know it could do that. I played this game like a million times. It's like... They're named after the Chinese Zodiac. So like I said, many of you have probably already known this. Many of you are like, yeah, because I looked this up just to see, like, does anybody else know about this? Because somebody just told me this in a live stream I did like 2 days ago. Somebody brought up in the live stream chat, like, yeah, they're named after the Zodiac. I'm like, what, huh? Like, my brain kind of froze. And I looked it up. I was like, how many people know about, oh, yeah, this has been discussed for, like, years now. It's like, wow. Okay, holy shit. Well, I'm not probably bringing anything new to the table here, but it was interesting to me. So, okay, there you go. We also have the talismans from Jackie Chan Adventures being featured back here because I have them all, and when else am I going to get to feature that in a video? Also to mention Fruits Basket again. Fruits Basket, really solid anime. Remake came out in 2019. I watched the whole thing again. It was very nostalgic. I recommend to go check it out. By the way, who's your favorite Fruits Basket character if you've seen it? I liked Kurino, the rooster. He just seemed like a kind of quirky guy. All right, so now, because they're named after the Zodiac, not all the admirals, because some of them are vice admirals, okay? Momo Usagi, who is Pink Rabbit, and Chaton, who is Brown Pig, are both vice admirals, and then we had Tensei, who is Kuro Uma, who is Black Horse. And I think he is, like, similar ranked with vice admirals, but he is the leader of the Marine Detective Agency that was speaking with Sakazuki a while ago. And so I think maybe he has, like, a comparable rank to vice admiral, but he has a very specific job in the Marines to be like their detective internal affairs kind of deal, okay? But the name scheme pops up a lot, right? Okay. So, because of that, though, we can also kind of extrapolate from the ones that are missing from the list, because not all of the Zodiac animals are accounted for yet. Who is going to be a future admiral, maybe. And so that's what this video is going to be about. Really talking about the future admirals of the Marines. Because, talking about Kobe a lot lately, because Kobe is really cool, and he's honesty impact, and he punched out an island, and it was really neat. And of course, just like Luffy's dream is to become king of the pirates, Kobe's dream is to become the Fleet Admiral. Or rather, I think he just says, I want to be an admiral, but we all know Kobe's gonna shoot for the stars. He's gonna go for the gusto with a dawn, ladies and gentlemen. He's gonna be the Fleet Admiral, all right? So, talking about that a little bit, let's say, because One Piece, like, the story itself, I don't think there's gonna be any more, like, time skips until we reach Laugh Tale. What I mean by that is, the ages that the Straw Hats are right now are going to be their ages when they reach Laugh Tale. So Luffy's gonna find the One Piece at age 19. He's gonna be king of the pirates. Okay, now, After all that happens, because this will also be around the time that Dragon's Revolution goes through, and the Tenryubito system falls, and the world government is still there, but the Tenryubito system is removed. The Marines are going to have to be overhauled, Cypher Pol, all these organizations up until now are going to be completely overhauled, all right? So it basically means there's going to have to be some form of epilogue. In fact, I would be happy if there was multiple epilogues, if we go, like, cut to 20 years in the future to see where everybody's at, and then cut 40 years in the future to see where everybody's at. And Oda has already drawn a lot of the Straw Hats, like, at age 40 and age 60 to, like, see where they're at certain points in their life. So that would be really cool, right? So basically, like, at the very end of the story, when the Tenryubito fall, and maybe some of the admirals are either killed or just retired, like, they're done with this shit, they're out of here, they're just gone, who's going to be the new hierarchy in the Marines then? Okay, because I don't think Kobe at age 18 right now, even if he's a really accomplished Marine, you know, Garp's gonna go up to him, if Garp's still alive at this point, and, like, pat him on the back, like, okay, Kobe, you're the new Fleet Admiral. Sakazuki was killed by Sabo, so you're the new one. Go up there, buddy. Like, I don't think that's gonna happen, all right? So let's try to figure this out here, okay? And we're gonna go into the Zodiac thing as we do it, but, okay. So I think by the end of One Piece, Kizaru's not going to be an admiral anymore. Whether that means he's dead or he retires, I could kind of see both. Pretty sure Green Bull's gonna die. Green Bull represents so many horrible things about the world government's propaganda and their iron grip on the world. Like, he is probably one of the most prejudiced, racist characters in this story. He literally went into Wano and was just saying straight up to the scabbards, you have no rights because you're not part of the world government. Every citizen in Wano could die and you don't even have the right to complain about it. That was Green Bull directly addressing the scabbards like that. There is your place in the world. I'm gonna turn into a giant tree now and murder everyone, okay? So Green Bull pretty much has to die, all right? Because the ideals he represents, he's like a perfect example of growing up in the world of One Piece and believing every piece of propaganda the government just shoved into his head, you know what I mean? And just going along with it full steam, okay? Even worse than Akainu, okay? Akainu as a Fleet Admiral, or Sakazuki, because once you get promoted to Fleet Admiral, I guess you ditch your code name, because no one calls him Akainu when he's the Fleet Admiral. So Sakazuki even, like, yeah, he's a hard ass, he really is, he's very thorough justice kind of guy, but now that he's in a position where he's starting to realize how corrupt the world government is, especially the higher-ups like the Gorosei, he's starting to even question things, okay? So Green Bull has to die. Sakazuki's either going to die, maybe being killed by Sabo, you know, you took my brother away from me, you're dying, you magma son of a, you know, like that kind of stuff. Or maybe he's wounded to the point where he's done. You know, Akainu is one of the very few characters in this story that you can drop into a volcano and he won't die from that. I don't know if you were expecting me to say something more profound, like, Sakazuki is one of the more interesting characters in this story because of his personality. No, he is one of the few characters you can't just drop into a volcano and kill. That will honestly only make him stronger. You knock him into the volcano, he comes out like a giant magma kaiju, like, Rah! You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's not good. That's not good. And then Hibari's off to the side, like, Dad, you're embarrassing me, turning into a giant kaiju. No! Oh, I'm never gonna get a date to the dance now with Kobe. It's like, okay. The Marine formal now, you've embarrassed me. Okay. So, Sakazuki, though, he's also gonna be out by the end of it, okay? So, who do we got left? If Kizaru leaves, and Green Bull's dead, and Sakazuki's gone, we just got Fujitora at the end of, this is like at the end of the story, like big final epic war to end all wars, Luffy finds the One Piece, okay. Fujitora might be the only one left, and he is probably representing the most moral out of all the admirals right now, okay, easily. Okay, he is the guiding light, all right? Some people even brought it up, like, what about Fujitora? Why can't he be the Fleet Admiral at the very end? And I'm thinking, yeah, that's probably a good idea, honestly. So we can make Fujitora the Fleet Admiral right at the end of it. And keep in mind, like, it's going to be a different whole thing, because right now the Fleet Admiral doesn't have that much authority, as much as, like, Akainu would have liked, because the Gorosei are the ones that really rule everything, because Im is the one that really rules everything. we're talking Eam has been ousted, Gorosei are gone, Tenryubito are gone. So the Fleet Admiral position at this point is going to be a little different from it is now, and it actually carries a little bit more weight with it. And I think Fujitora taking up that mantle to be Fleet Admiral right after like all this chaos happens, I think that would honestly be ideal. I think he and his sense of justice and morality and humanitarianism can guide the Marines. That is the leader they're going to need to go into a new era. Okay? Absolutely. Kobe will be Fleet Admiral someday, but not right at the end of the story when he's 18 years old. It's not happening, okay? Now, we still have 3 Admiral slots open, once again, right at the end of the story. So, who's going to be the 3 new Admirals? Because I still think they're going to keep that structure. They're not going to completely overhaul the Marines to the point of, like, new positions or new classifications or anything like that. They're going to keep the structure. Even Dragon said, yeah, the structure overall of the world government is not a bad thing, as long as it wasn't controlled by the corrupt Tenryubito, right? Okay, so we're still going to have 3 Admirals, right? So this is where we get into the Zodiac. Let's see all our candidates that we have right here. Let's just go through all of them right now, okay? So, it's not a pheasant in the Chinese Zodiac, it's a rooster, but we could assume Aokiji. Blue pheasant, Kuzan, that was the representation there. I don't feel like Kuzan's gonna come back to the Marines. Maybe he might if everything changes, but maybe at the end of it, even if everything is completely changed and revolution happens and everything, maybe Kuzan is like, nah, I already did that once in my life. Maybe he was a Marine for a while, and maybe that didn't fulfill him the way that he thought it would. And then he was part of Blackbeard's crew for a while, and that didn't fulfill him the way he wanted. So he's like, I'm going to go and start a bakery. He's going to go and do something else with his life. Maybe he's not really looking forward to joining the military service again, okay? So I kind of see Kuzan more as somebody who wanders around the world trying to find his place in it. You know, that's how I see Kuzan, right? So then Green Bull's going to be dead, so we don't have to worry about him anymore at this. You know, Green Bull, you know, Aramaki. Now, we have the rabbit, who is Momo Usagi, or Gion. All right, now these two, Chaton and Momo Usagi, are characters that were originally created in an SBS 74. There was a person that was like, hey, Oda, when are we going to see Naval Admiral Momo Usagi? Sexy, dynamite Momo Usagi with her lethal knockout beauty. I can barely sleep at night from all the anticipation. That's a character that, like, this person just wrote a letter to Oda, was just like, yeah, Pink Rabbit, Momo Usagi. She's a character now. And Oda's like, okay. Okay, she is. Okay, because Oda here is like, a sexy admiral. Yeah, they are filled with a bunch of old dudes right now. I could draw a sexy. Well, she's not going to be an admiral because he had already planned Green Bull and Fujitora at this point. But he's like, all right, we'll make her a vice admiral. But she still has the code name Pink Rabbit. And it is canon that she, along with Chaton, Brown Pig, were candidates that were considered to become admirals. We're going to get back to that in a moment. We're talking about like what you have to achieve to be an admiral, like your strength level and devil fruits and all that kind of stuff. We'll get back to that in a moment, okay? But she represents the rabbit. She is a canon character. She showed up in Film Gold a little bit, so you can question, like, the canonicity of that. But then she properly shows up at Reverie. She's right there. She's in the manga. Chaton as well, in the manga. They are characters in the One Piece story, okay? Confirmed, okay? She also has a Meito sword named Konpira, which is the name of a seafaring god. Like, you would pray to a god of, like, safety while you're out at sea and stuff like that. So she has a Meito sword. So, yeah, canon characters, right? She's the rabbit. Chaton, Tokikake is his real name, is Brown Pig. And then we have the horse, which is Kurouma, who I stated. His real name is Tensei. And so he's like the detective or whatever like that. So right there, you have 3. You have 3 right there. You could have Pink Rabbit, Brown Pig, Black Horse just become the admirals at the end of the story. Now, you might question, like, well, we don't really know anything about those characters. They become admirals all of a sudden? Well, this is going to be kind of at the end of One Piece. This is going to be end of One Piece, and then we'll get an epilogue after this, and then the story's over. Now, there will be more stuff after that, I'm sure. There will be sequel mangas that somebody will draw, and there will be still the anime, and then this other anime is starting. There'll still be movies. But for, like, as far as Oda's concerned, the story's going to end at some point. So, at the end of it, it might just be like, yeah, here are the 3 new admirals as soon as Luffy discovers the One Piece and the big battle's over. Then we cut to 20 years in the future, and then here are the admirals then. And then we cut to 40 years in the future, and here are the final roster of admirals. Okay, then we're done, and then that's it. The end. One Piece. Close the book on the story, on the main story. It's done, right? So Oda might do that just because, like, you know, who cares at that point? We're at the end of the story, right? Okay. So what does it really mean to become an admiral? Obviously, you got to have really powerful devil fruit abilities, right? Because all the admirals that we know of right now have really strong logias, typically, except they don't need to be logias, because we know that Fujitora has a paramecia. And Sengoku, the former Fleet Admiral, who was an admiral before he was the Fleet Admiral, had a zone. Granted, it was a mythical zone, but it was still a different fruit than a logia, right? And we know Garp was considered to become an admiral, and he didn't have a devil fruit at all. Then again, he is Garp, so it's like, you know, you don't really need to, you don't have to have a devil fruit when you're Garp, okay? So, makes me wonder a little bit, like, did Kizaru, let's say, just find his fruit randomly one day and eat it and get the power? He definitely had the fruit before he was a admiral. He had it when he was a vice admiral, had it, I think, a little bit before that as well. But I wonder if it's like he started rising through the ranks and the Marines gave him the logia. Like, hey, Kizaru, or Borsalino at the time, you seem to be really powerful. You might be a contender for admiral one day. Take this logia. You're the one we're going to give it to, okay? Because the Marines would probably find devil fruits all the time, but they wouldn't give it to just anybody. It's very interesting that Smoker, of all people, when he was a captain, a relatively low rank, I mean, not super low, but still, compared to vice admirals and stuff, had a logia. He was I think, the lowest ranked Marine to have a logia, which makes me think maybe Smoker had that fruit. Maybe he ate it when he was a kid, before he even became a Marine or something like that. Because if the Marines got their hands on that, or maybe they did give it to him, like, hey, Smoker, you have what it takes to be an admiral someday. Take this logia, the smoke fruit, and foster that power, and hopefully, like the Marines are getting a return investment on that. Because you would imagine the Marines have to set up the next generation of admirals earlier on, okay? After the events of Marineford, Sakazuki gets promoted, and then Kuzan leaves, and then them having the fight was probably unprecedented. It's like, this is not how this is supposed to go. And then when Sakazuki took over, why didn't he promote any of the former vice admirals? Why didn't he promote Momonga or somebody into admiral position? And Sakazuki instead goes and does this world military draft where Green Bull and Fujitora are added into the Marines, right? So I like to think that Sakazuki knew about these characters maybe beforehand. He knew there was a really strong blind swordsman living out in the woods somewhere as a hermit, and that was Isho. And then he goes and recruits him to be a Marine or something. Maybe, and Green Bull was kind of a fanboy of Akainu, so maybe he was the one that was first in line at the draft. You know, maybe. I was also thinking, like, what if they didn't have their devil fruits beforehand? Because this was 2 years ago, all right? This was right after Marineford, right when the time skip started. So what if they recruited Isho, brought him into the Marines, gave him the Zushi no Mi, the gravity fruit, and he trained with it for 2 years. And he was already super skilled. Like, he was already a really strong swordsman and everything like that. So maybe when he ate the paramecia, he trained with it for 2 years, and he was just that good with it after 2 years, where he was good enough to bring down meteors and stuff. Maybe with Green Bull, they gave him the logia, and after only 2 years of training, he was already really strong, so he just took to it really well, and they've mastered their powers, and they are considered admirals. Or they could have had it beforehand, right? But Akainu is very much about strength. He's about power, raw, physical power. That's what makes a good admiral, right? After all this happens, after Dragon's Revolution, it might be more about peace and bringing the world together and all that kind of stuff. Yes, power is still necessary, but not as much as, like, Sakazuki wanted it to be about, all right? So it might be a situation like that. And then, or maybe they might give, like, okay, Momo Usagi, Pink Rabbit, and Chaton, Brown Pig, here are your devil fruits. You will eat them, and then you will get stronger, and then you will be the new admirals, okay? And then also Tensei, you were already there, so sure. Why not, right? Moving on beyond that, you know, Akainu was the dog, and Kizaru was the monkey, Fujitora was the tiger. So we have 4 animals on the Zodiac that have not been accounted for, haven't been revealed at all yet, okay? And those are the sheep, ba, the rat. I don't know. Is that what rats? Yeah, that's how rats sound now. That's how rats sound. The snake, the snake. Hey, remember when I used to do animal facts? Yeah, that was a fun time. And finally, we have the dragon. What One Piece character would represent the dragon? You know, the chat kind of brought it up when I was doing the stream. Like, and then Dragon's going to become an admiral. And I'm like, that's not, no. Well, okay. Yeah, even I have to admit, like, there's no other. It's a dragon. His name is Dragon. I'm like, okay. Yeah, Dragon. Dragon used to be a Marine. We know that. Then he left. After the revolution's completed, Tenryubito system's taken care of, Dragon stated, I left the Marines because I saw no justice there. Well, he's gonna find it now because he's gonna make his justice. And then, okay, cool. And then maybe not right away, like I said. I mean, it might be a little bit, like the people of the world might be a little bit like, okay, Dragon just becomes the Fleet Admiral. I mean, maybe they would be okay with that because he's the leader of the revolution. So maybe it's Fujitora or maybe it's Dragon right after. But either way, Dragon's going to have a part to play in this just by virtue of there is a Zodiac reference. There's a dragon. So that's kind of a one-to-one right there, okay? Now, what about the snake? The snake I thought was cool. I originally thought maybe Smoker would be, because this is before I knew the Zodiac thing, and before it clicked, I was thinking White Wolf for some reason, because I just thought it sounded cool. But, you know, a lot of people in the chat and the Zodiac, they were like, hey, it's the Zodiac, so maybe Snake, because he does have a technique called White Snake. And I'm like, okay. And then smoke is like the plumes of smoke look like pillars, like snakes. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see that. Like Shiro Hebi or something like that. Or maybe Boa. Boa's a snake, so we can have Boa be a member of the Marines. Wow, that's so easy. We got Boa, we got Dragon. Who else? A sheep. Khalifa. Khalifa could turn into a sheep, so she's going to be an admiral of the Marines. Yeah, it's all coming together. The rat is clearly Nezumi. We all love Nezumi, right? Nezumi's going to come back and be promoted to admiral. He's the rat. He's the mouse. There it is. No, but I could see Smoker at some point becoming White Snake. And then we would only have the sheep and the rat. And I don't really have any candidates for the sheep and rat right now. Either maybe there's already vice admirals that have those titles that we've just not been introduced to yet. There's been a bunch of vice admirals that were just introduced in the Egghead arc, so there's a lot of them. Because that's like the highest rank you can achieve in the Marines once you hit like a certain ceiling. And because there can only be 3 admirals at any given time. So once you keep getting promoted, you hit vice admiral. Unless one of the admirals dies or retires and you get promoted, you're stuck at vice admiral. That's as high as you can go, probably for the rest of your life. Look at Garp. He turned down the position, but that's what I mean, right? So maybe there's vice admiral we didn't know about yet, or maybe one of these is going to be Kobe. Maybe Kobe will be the rat or the sheep or whatever. I know, you know, because you're going to say Kobe has pink hair. Well, maybe Kobe should be, you know, pink sheep or something like that. Just because he has pink hair doesn't mean his color needs to be pink, all right? Like, for example, Kizaru's not blonde, you know, Akainu's not ginger, you know, and that doesn't mean anything, right? Okay. Also, I mean, like, I was looking into the color wheels and everything, and it's like, we don't really have that many colors left for the Zodiac, right? So we already got blue, green, if Smoker is going to be White Snake, that's white. We got pink, we got black, we got brown, we got yellow, we got purple. What other colors are left, really, okay? So we got white for Smoker, I guess, and then we got orange. Orange could be a color. Then gray or silver, maybe, you know, possibly. You know, like what would dragon be? Unless you start getting into like crimson dragon or cyan dragon, magenta sheep or something like that, right? You got beige, you got magenta, you got chartreuse. I mean, look at the colors here. I mean, like, how many left do we got, really? We got tan. We could reuse them, maybe, you know, if like Kizaru leaves, maybe somebody else can be yellow or something like that. I don't know, but we don't have a lot of colors left here, okay? We could also do rainbow, I guess. Rainbow dragon, bringing hope to the entire world. I don't know, the dragon flies through the sky and a rainbow appears. I guess, I don't know. Okay. So, let's cut to like 20 years down the line. all right? Luffy at this point is in his late 30s. He's like around 40 years old, basically. And, you know, the Straw Hats, I guess, maybe disbanded at this point. Maybe they're going and doing their own thing or whatever. This would be a moment where we would see different Marines taking up the mantle. I would really like to see Smoker become a Fleet Admiral. Okay, I would like to see Smoker in that role. Maybe you don't think he's strong enough, but like dude's only in his mid-30s right now. Okay, do you think Sengoku was as strong as he is now or in his peak when he was in his mid-30s? We all know your mid to late 40s into 50 is when your peak performance in One Piece. That's just how it goes, right? So there's room for Smoker to get stronger and stronger, and I think eventually he will become an admiral, because most admirals are in their late 40s, early 50s, so maybe he's a little bit too young right at the end of the story for him to be an admiral, but I think give it like 10 years, he could be an admiral, and then give it like a 20-year gap, he could be Fleet Admiral, all right, when he's in his late 50s, okay, into his 60s. He becomes the Fleet Admiral, and then under him, maybe Kobe at this point, maybe could join. Kobe would be like 38, around 40. Kuzan was only like around his mid-40s when he became an admiral. Maybe a little younger than that. So okay, I could see Kobe becoming an admiral at age 40. That makes more sense to me. So then Kobe gets his title, whether it be sheep or rat, or maybe they reuse some at this point. I don't know, but he gets the title and he gets to become admiral at that point. And then you could skip forward another 20 years, and then at that point, when Kobe is around 60, that's when he becomes the Fleet Admiral, okay? So while the Straw Hats are out there, and they're like the people of legends at this point, Luffy is in the good universe where he looks like Garp and everything. Zoro has mastered 5 sword style, one in his butt crack and the other one in his, I'm not going to say, you know, Nami is looking like Shaki and stuff like that, all the ways that Oda drew them in the good universe. Kobe is also there, and Kobe is the Fleet Admiral, right? You know, people might also bring up Sengoku as like, where does Sengoku fit into all this? Because Sengoku wasn't an animal, he was the Buddha. Once again, I refer you back to Fruits Basket. If you've seen Fruits Basket, Fruits Basket, you would know that there's not only an additional animal, the cat, because Kyo, you know, so maybe the cat will be included at some point here, but also you have Akito, who is the god of the Zodiac animals. We have the 13 Zodiac animals, plus we have the god that leads them. So you could look at Sengoku being the original Fleet Admiral in the story. I know Kong was before that, but when we started reading it was Sengoku, Fleet Admiral, mythical zone to turn into Buddha, or rather Daibutsu, but like a shining golden god kind of thing, leading the other animals. You could kind of see that. Now, if Garp would have joined the Admirals, what animal would he have been? He would have been the dog, most likely, because he wears the dog mask. Maybe there's a parallel universe where Sakazuki doesn't become an admiral, but Garp becomes one and he's the dog instead, but that never happened because he never wanted to become an admiral. He never wanted that position because the Tenryubito would have to boss him around and stuff, and he didn't like that. So in the case with Sengoku, maybe his color was gold because he was a Daibutsu. He didn't have a code name, or rather, he probably did. It's just we don't know about it because, like I said, once you become Fleet Admiral, you kind of lose your code name. So he might have been Golden Buddha, would have been his code name or something like that. Also, all of these characters are... There's something else that Oda does with every single one of these, except for Sengoku and Garp, and he bases them off of Japanese actors, like old school Japanese actors from back in the day, for like, you know, 40s, 50s, 60s, like Japanese film and television and stuff like that, you know. So just to read them all off really quick, I'm not familiar with any of these actors and actresses, but I feel like this video wouldn't be complete unless I did this. So Kuzan Aokiji is based off of the actor Yusaku Matsuda. Green Bull, or Aramaki, is based off of Yoshio Harada. By the way, I love this dude's look. Like, I think he's the one I'm most interested in seeing a movie featuring him. Yoshio Harada looks pretty badass. Then we have Gion, or Momo Usagi. She's the only woman on this list, and she is based off of Michio Kogure. Then we have Tensei, Black Horse, based off of Akira Kobayashi. Then we have Sakazuki Akainu, based off of Bunta Sugawara. Then we have Tokikake, or Chaton, based off of Kiyoshi Atsumi. Then we have Kizaru Borsalino, based off of Kunie Tanaka. Then we have Fujitora, or Isho, based off of Shintaro Katsu. All right, so I just wanted to include all those references there, right? Yeah, so... There you go. There you have it. A lot of stuff to throw at you in this one video. They're all based off of Zodiac, and then there's some open spots and who's going to be in what position, at the end of One Piece, and then in an epilogue, and even in the future of the epilogue, who's it all going to be? Where do they all fit in and everything like that? But a little bit of a scrambled thing, scattershotted, but I hope it made sense. I made a list. That's all I could do. All right. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed. What is your favorite animal in the Chinese zodiac? Who do you think's going to be the sheep and the rats? Who's your favorite character in Fruits Basket? There you go. Thanks for watching. Go to that end screen.